Yo, everyone, welcome back. Brand new Techish in the building. We back. It's Michael Bahane, CEO of Pocket and Pocket Jobs, and I am with
Abadesi of Hustle Crew. Come to us for training needs.
What's going on with, is it Layoffs to Lemonade? When's that happening?
Layoffs to Lemonade. Well, you know, there have been like 135 tech companies that have done layoffs this year. And, you know, I've been laid off myself, so I know it's hard. And we're just putting out the content. It's on our YouTube, it's on our socials at Hustle Crew Live, because I feel it's really important for us to do what we can to support people in this really difficult time. It's like a really emotional period. I've been there myself. So, yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check out Layoffs to Lemonade, come through.
Shout out to that. Yeah, do you get like a free Vision Pro with the course or anything like that? Because I want one now, I can't lie.
Yeah, honestly, I was also like sucked
Seriously?
into it. Yeah, I was.
What have you seen that's convinced you maybe I kind of want one now?
It's so funny actually, because I only work with one screen, even though everyone's like 2 screens are such a productivity hack. I was like, huh?
You're an amateur.
No, because like it's annoying to me having 2 screens. Like, I'll just be honest. Look, I have a typewriter. That's how old school I am. No jokes. I like type letters on my typewriter.
That's good.
But when I saw the Vision Pro demo, and this bra had turned his like whole room into various screens, do you know what? It reminded me of, what's that Tom Cruise movie where he's like doing
Minority Report.
Boom, Minority Report. I was like, take me there. I want to be in Minority Report.
You know what got me
you?
was when I saw somebody on an airplane and they showed them like basically, you know, you're in a cramped seat, the seats, there's no screen, maybe you're on a 3-hour flight, there's no like TV. Dude puts it on and he's got this giant cinema right in front of him. And I was like, you know what? They're starting to cook. I'm starting to see like what's going on here. I might get involved, but it's too expensive for now. I think definitely going forward, once it gets cheaper and probably a bit more affordable, maybe when there's an Android version, it's like £300. I might get it then. Do you know what I'm saying? Because go on, what you gonna say?
All I was gonna say was, you know, when you're a kid and you're sitting really close to the TV.
Yes.
And then your parents like move away from the screen. It's bad for your eyes.
It was a lie, basically.
Was it a lie?
It was a lie. Well, I turned out fine, 1, but 2, also now.
Speak for yourself, bro, because I've been wearing glasses since age 8.
But do you have a family history of people wearing glasses?
I think so, yeah.
Don't blame the TV then. TV did me good.
No, because all I'm trying to say is Vision Pro is going to mess up people's eyesight.
I don't know, because I feel like...
I genuinely think people who have a propensity to be short-sighted, watch out.
How many people are going to sleep with their phones right in their face now? But maybe that is messing up their eyesight. The thing that also freaked me out was I saw a person tweet saying RIP to my sex life, and they had a picture of their husband or boyfriend in bed with the Vision Pro. And he had a face of just grinning, he was just smiling. He was just like... And it's like, how do you compete with that? I mean, like, we're used to living in a world where maybe you're in bed with your partner and you're both just in your own phone, your own little world potentially.
No phones in the bedroom.
Okay, well then that's you. But like, there's a lot of people that are living that life where even I see couples at restaurants where they're just like, they're both on their phone. How do you now respond when, let's say, one of the partners like, I want to put on that Vision Pro and just watch my thing, and you just sit there? Does that feel even more isolating than a phone?
Yeah, we're going too far. We're going too far. You need quality time. For me, like, bed is like the ultimate sacred place.
Interesting.
And I don't know, like, I'm not a fan of any kind of devices in that area.
I think you're alone, I'll be honest with you. I think everyone else is crumbling.
I'm a boomer. Some people call me a boomer out there.
Don't say that. We were told off. We got a review that said, do not use the term boomer in any derogatory way. Listen, we love everybody. Don't get twisted in it. And obviously, we're just teasing, and it's obviously stereotypes. It's not good.
If you haven't noticed, like, it's comedy.
It's comedy?
It's art.
Basically, don't be a boomer about it. Anyways, moving on. So speaking of changes and new things, and actually it's a terrible segue because there is no necessary correlation, but I'm going to make it happen anyways.
Do it. Force it.
So Meta stock has boomed. I found a way. Meta stock has boomed 4x since it hit the rock bottom a year ago. I think at the end of 2022, it was at its worst point, $111 a share. Now it's about $400-500.
Yeah,
looks like the year of efficiency has worked. So much so that that Meta has now decided to issue a dividend, which is very, very rare with tech stocks. Normally, it's all about reinvesting for growth. I don't think Amazon's ever done a dividend. So for them to do that it shares a lot that they're so confident how much profits they're spitting out that they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
Does it now
trying to keep people sweet?
Yeah. Does it now look like though that all of the cost cutting, all of the laying people off, all of the, let's get rid of this whole department, basically is justified? At least from a financial perspective, not on a human level.
I don't know, because I've been thinking recently about big tech and how we've kind of like normalized the evil that it does. Like, we've been so caught up in talking about the impact of their layoffs that we kind of like have forgotten that they're still not paying taxes properly, and they're still not being like super clear about how they use our data and how much they listen to us. And I don't know, I personally feel that no, it doesn't make it worth it. The fact that they're able to now like pay back to dividends, or that they're like a more financially robust company, because I think in the grand scheme of things, at least this is how I think of it as a more ethical consumer, not just a pure cold-blooded capitalist. For me, the impact of a company is not just in the value it returns to its shareholders, or even its like financial health as far as a share price. It's also about its like environmental impact, its social impact, and it's like, you know, governance. Things like ESG are supposed to be reporting on and covering. So I don't know, like in the grand scheme of things, I feel like Meta like still has a long way to go to be a good company.
It's interesting though, because we talk about the evil of these companies, but then at the same time we feel sorry for their employees. Isn't that a bit of a contradiction in terms? We're like, oh, you've been laid off doing the evil work that you're doing. Well, I just thought about that now. Go on.
Because we're living in a world with like different levels of privilege, and there are some people who like genuinely need that opportunity at Meta. I was that person. I worked at Amazon knowingly aware of the fact that there were elements of the Amazon experience I did not agree with. Like, I think people should pay taxes, and I think companies should pay taxes. Was I happy with the fact that like Amazon's HQ was not London where I worked, but technically like Luxembourg or wherever the heck?
Yeah.
Of course not. But at the same time, I was standing there as a woman from Nigeria, Philippines, you know, all these like communities where I just know women from those countries would kill to be in that position and get that knowledge and get that wealth for their community. So I was just like, I'm gonna be here and seize the opportunity, even though I don't necessarily agree with everything Jeff Bezos does.
I'm not buying it, you know. I feel like there's an element where I'm complicit too. I use these products and services. I feel sorry for anyone who loses their job first and foremost, because obviously I don't know what people's, you know, economic position is. You've got kids trying to feed, you've got a mortgage, but obviously at the same time, there is a level of complicity. We can't just say I'm going to work there, but don't hold me accountable for any of the bad things that this company does, because you can choose to use your talents elsewhere. Where? You don't have to. What do you mean where? If you want to make a certain amount of money, yes, you have to go work at these evil companies, but does everybody need to be on six figures? Does everybody need to be like a bajillionaire?
What kind of world do we live in when only cold-blooded capitalists want to be in big tech companies? What, like at the end of the day, everyone's going to use Facebook. I'm not saying necessarily like make change on the inside, but like I'm literally, and you as well, building a career and a business out of representation. Now you're going to say representation doesn't matter.
I'm saying I'm complicit though. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying like, yeah. Anyways, it's an interesting debate. What do you lot think? Leave a review. Speaking of changes, terrible segue again. Adam Neumann now wants to come back and buy WeWork. So WeWork is now on the verge of bankruptcy.
Was this the long game?
This was the long game. So essentially he sold his shares however many, I think it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, they basically wanted to force him out of the company. And by doing so, he had to leave the company. But he sold, I think, about $1 billion worth. So he left with about $1 billion worth of net worth.
Damn.
So now he's rich enough to come back and buy a company that was once worth $46 billion and it's now basically on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Is he a hero in your mind?
It's so funny because I swear someone at SoftBank got fired after that share price tank, the guy that led that deal. So I just wonder, like, what's that guy up to now? And is he looking at this and like secretly like having like a little voodoo doll of Adam Neumann where he's just like poking at him? But is this the ultimate finesse, the ultimate flex to build up one of the world's largest companies? Bring all your family and friends in on six-figure salaries.
Milk it.
Milk it for all it's worth. Sell it at the peak. Watch it plummet, and eventually come back and try and buy it for peanuts. I mean, he's aced the game. Whether he succeeds or not, we shall see. But that would be the next TV series.
Yeah, I want to see the sequel. Did you ever watch We Crashed?
No, actually,
it was a great performance. But you know what's ironic though? I saw on the All In podcast they asked about the fact that he has since raised around 300 million from Andreessen Horowitz for a new company called Flow.
Oh, is that the climate tech one?
No, so he did one that was climate tech, and then another one where basically it was like essentially WeWork but for housing. So essentially you can live in a kind of flat, but then at the same time there's a communal area.
I remember you mentioned this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they asked Chamath, like, why did like Andreessen Horowitz like give $300 million to this company? And Chamath gave an answer which I think probably is accurate, which is that VC firms sometimes just want to get rid of the capital on their book so they can raise a new fund and get their fees. And that's the reality of VC funds. Like if you have, let's say, $1 billion fund, you often get 2% of that goes directly to the VC firm. And then they get 20 or 30% off the upside if it does make money, basically. So imagine getting 2%. I don't know what's 2% of $1 billion, but imagine getting 100 million, 200 million straight up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to want to raise another fund straight away. Let's deploy this capital as quickly as possible, especially when you know that when you've got a leading brand in the VC world. Like, I'm not saying that that's the only motivation, but it's a fantastic incentive to be like, oh, actually, you know what? We need to get off this capital off the books. Who can we deploy 300 million to? Oh, this guy wants to build a lot of buildings. Give it to him.
he's white, he's cisgendered, he's able-bodied, he's famous. Let's give it to him, and not the like tens of thousands of any other type of person
Basically,
who's pitching to us for money. Because that's the other story that's being said. If you're so desperate to deploy capital, why is it always going to the same types of people?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Idris and Horowitz, they did have like a few different allocations. It was like I forgot the name of it, but there's one guy called Chris Lyon who works on the inside, black guy that works on the inside, and he's been given allocations. But yes, it is dwarfed by the amount of money that's given to guys like Adam Neumann, etc., etc. But are you skeptical of my thesis that sometimes VCs probably just do deploy capital quickly in order to kind of get their fees?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that is like a tactic. You were talking about like how billionaires just need to like spend money, and like, you know, there are all kind of people out there just trying to like maximize a system that doesn't make sense. You know, Avios points. People be like, I need to fly to this random country so I can stay on this tier of like Avios points. You're just like, what? This makes no sense to me. But yes, I absolutely believe that you would be incentivized in some way to like spend money, even if it's not necessarily the best bet, just so that you can like go on to raise money. A lot of these systems are fundamentally broken.
It's a cushy job. Did you watch the Grammys, by the way?
I watched the highlights.
You've been following. What do you make of the whole... So Jay-Z went up there and basically said that, listen, they don't know what they're doing more times than not. Beyonce's won the most amount of Grammys than any person in history, but she's never won Album of the Year.
Yeah.
And then I think they gave Taylor Swift again Album of the Year. I think she's had the most amount of Albums of the Year.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I think Taylor Swift is a PSYOP. I've never heard any of her music. I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to believe it's a PSYOP because I've never heard her music before.
What is a PSYOP?
A PSYOP means it's a psychological operation to like just deceive people into thinking like reality is not what it is. You know what I'm saying? You know how the military will be like...
She's definitely real.
She's real. She is real, but is her music real?
You're just not that... You're just
I'm not in her
profiler person.
Yeah, I'm not in the algorithm to see it. Like, I don't have a bubble, like... But
I don't know what slice of Taylor Swift listeners are, like, black men.
But the most amount of albums of the year.
Hey, man.
The most.
Are you surprised?
Yes.
Why?
Because the last I heard of Taylor Swift, Kanye was going on stage.
How many Grammys did Tupac get?
I don't know, but but Beyonce, it's a like-for-like comparison. Listen, don't get twisted. I understand that, listen, as a white woman, she's going to hit an archetype and hit probably a mass appeal that probably Beyonce maybe can't. I don't know. But yeah, listen, I'm not hating on her. Shout out to her. I'm sure her music is amazing. But I just wake up and I just see people saying Taylor Swift's the new Michael Jackson. And then I see her perform and I see her try to quote-unquote dance. I'm like... What the hell is going on?
Shots fired.
What is going on?
Fired. Dude,
no,
I'll be
make
honest
it make
with
sense.
You, like, I could probably name 2 Taylor Swift songs. Like,
okay,
I'm also with you. I'm also with you. Where it's just like, oh my God, this and that. Like, apparently she released like 4 albums last year or something crazy. Like, no, I'm not even joking. Like, she's making music. She is hardworking and she is busy, and that is undeniable. And I know people are going to come for us now, but she's not coming from my algorithms. I'm not really listening to her.
Yeah.
Some of the songs, you know, reach popular mass. I'm the problem, it's me, whatever. Yes, I know that one.
I don't know that one either.
Even I know that one. But what I think is really interesting about things like the Grammys and the Emmys and stuff like that, obviously living in the UK, there are similarities between the US and the UK. And I see a lot of the American award shows as the American equivalent of the establishment.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So here in the UK, our establishment is like landed gentry and royals, right? So for example, people get like knighthoods and damehoods and OBs and MBs. And that's literally the establishment kind of like tapping you on the head and being like, you are one of us now. Like we approve of you. And what I find really interesting about these award ceremonies is that, again, every establishment has an agenda. And in most of the countries we're living in, the agenda is to perpetuate the status quo.
100%.
And in the countries where we're living in, the status quo is white supremacy, you know, male privilege, all these kinds of things. And I think what we often see in these great award shows is that it doesn't really matter how talented the black person is. White people always have to come out on top. Still.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then that disturbs the balance of power and it freaks people out and they're just not comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story as old as time, and obviously just like the white artist is the most sellable one, Elvis.
Not
Eminem.
to detract from her talent, though. Like, I think
still be
it's
amazing.
like,
Yeah, you still
do
be
you know what I mean?
amazing,
Like,
talented.
but I
like
think
Eminem has got a lot of talent, but doesn't mean that he literally is the greatest rapper of all time. But
this is what I'm
who is
saying.
presented as that person? It's him, right? Do you know what I mean? Elvis can sing. I saw the film about him. He's a talented guy, but was he the greatest? You know, head and
Rock
shoulders
and
above all.
roll.
Yeah, head and shoulders above all. I don't think so.
It's like when they do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then there's like 3 black people in the whole list or whatever. And it's just like, I mean, I know that these awards matter and they're also really important, but at the same time, like they feel like gaslighting by this point in history. It just feels like gaslighting.
Yeah, the other thing that was interesting was that in the hip hop category for the best hip hop album, the award went to Killer Mike who...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it was in the category, I think there was like Travis Scott, and I think Drake was in there. There was a few other more quote-unquote mainstream artists. And Killer Mike, I haven't listened to any of the albums apart from Drake's one, but I heard Killer Mike's album had a lot of buzz. I had a lot of people that were saying this is a great album, but a lot of like quote-unquote mainstream hip-hop fans, basically fans who engage with the kind of artists like Drake or Jack Harlow, are like, I've never heard of this guy before. How can he win? I mean, yeah, but the thing is, like, if you're the type of person who only engages with that kind of pop level of hip-hop, Drake hip-hop, like
through you're discovering hip-hop through TikToks or something like
you know
that.
What I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna be shocked. And I actually think this is probably the one time where I give kudos to the Grammys, because there was that, if you remember famously, there was that year where Macklemore won Album of the Year over Kendrick, and everyone was like, okay, this is crazy now. You've obviously just picked the most commercially successful project and not actually what is grassroots, what hip-hop aficionados would actually say is the better album. And I think history has proved that out. So kudos to the Grammys in this sense for actually picking an artist who isn't the most commercially viable, isn't the most commercially successful, but, you know, has got a lot of grassroots appeal, and as probably artist is probably more critically acclaimed. So I don't know. They can't listen. These award shows are very arbitrary. It's very much about an opinion, and no one's going to be happy either way. But yeah.
One question. Can I ask you what you think about people who like speak in one voice and then like rap in like a voice that sounds like black vernacular or like...
I mean, the best example was Iggy Azalea. She's an Australian woman, and she just started rapping like she was from Atlanta. That's insane. There was a history of that in the UK. A lot of the rappers back in the 90s used to rap in American accents, and then eventually people were like, this is ridiculous, like just rap in your own accent. And actually now those artists, the Skeptors, probably have more crossover appeal in America because people are likely to resonate with something that's true, even if it's different. You know what I mean? I think that is one of the hardest selling points to Americans about UK hip hop is the accent, but at the same time it's still probably getting more buzz now because it's like, okay, at least there's something real here, at least this is actually authentic, as opposed to a fake imitation of like somebody pretending to be something they're not. So that's my point. Who did you have in mind?
Well, like, I know people will come for me, but like, Jack Harlow like speaks in one voice and then like raps in another, and I'm just like, I'm a little side eye on that.
Yeah, I actually haven't noticed that. I'll have a look out for that. Do you watch a lot of Jack Harlow interviews?
No.
Do you find him attractive? I think you do. He's your type, right?
No, I actually found him on Dave. Do you know the show Dave?
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Dave's more your type.
He's my type.
Dave's more your type. I know your type.
I've been like with the same man for 12 years. So yeah. Like, but
who gives me Jack Harlow energy? What do you want me to say?
Rude. My husband is way hotter than Jack Harlow. I've discovered him through the show Dave.
Yes.
So there's this like episode where Dave goes to, is it the Grammys? He goes, no,
I
the Met Ball. He goes to the Met Gala.
The Met Gala, yeah.
And if you haven't seen the show Dave, really recommend it. I think it was on FX and here in the UK iPlayer. But yeah, and when he's there, people keep mixing him up. So Dave is just like a very like proud, you know, cis-het Jew rapper guy. And then he meets Jack Harlow and he's like, people always get us mixed up. But I literally never even like seen him. And then I saw him on the show, and then I heard his song on the radio. And when I first heard his song on the radio, I didn't know it was him. So I was just like, wow, what rapper is this? And like, oh, that was blah, 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 Jack Harlow. I was like, oh my God, that was a white guy? So that's kind of how my thinking went.
Have you seen the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith show?
I watched like the first 10 minutes of it, and then I was like, I think I'm gonna like downgrade this from like a primetime slot.
Oh, seriously? You wasn't feeling it in the beginning?
One. I was so excited by the trailer, but like the first few minutes of the show, I was like, I need to revisit this. Just like that opening action scene for me was just like...
Actually, a few of the reviews have actually been saying that it's quite good, surprisingly.
Okay, nice.
So, I think
and you? What were your thoughts?
I saw the first episode and I enjoyed it so far. But I think...
I will watch anything Donald Glover is in. Like,
but you know what? He's not that popular.
What?
Yes, because in the sense that like I don't know, maybe it's the side of TikTok that I'm on. There's an idea that he doesn't know how to write black women. That in the show Atlanta, there was a few stereotypes that he perpetuated, especially about dark-skinned black women. There was that one episode where they were at some party and there was an interracial couple, and basically the dark-skinned black girl was basically just hating on the kind of successful black man with the white girl, and it was basically like an archetype and a stereotype and a trope. Yeah. So people are like, oh, I'm not sure. Then he did that show Swarm. I think some people weren't a fan of that either.
Oh, I really liked that.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, listen, I'm a fan of Donald Glover, but he's not universally popular. But credit where credit's due. I think a lot of people were thinking, why does there need to be a reboot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Some people were like, they're too ugly. Why does there need
to be like a 15th Marvel friggin' movie? Come on.
I want it. Shout out to them. So you keep going, guys. Even though you're terrible now. No, but there was an idea that actually probably they're too ugly to be the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I thought was really dread.
Wow.
Yeah, because they were like,
who said that?
A lot of people were saying that. They were like, Brad and Angelina were hot. What is this?
Wow. I don't know, y'all. That's not cool.
That's not cool.
I think Donald Glover's a good looking man. He's not very tall.
He's got a new hairline, by the way.
That's all you can say.
Straight out to the trash. Shout out to his hair transplant.
Shut up.
Yeah, man.
For reals?
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to him.
And then I can't remember the name of the actor who is playing alongside him, but I loved her sitcom, Pen 15.
Okay.
She's just
I think her
hilarious.
name's Maya something, but I got it wrong.
Damn, people coming like that. Also, can I just say, the last season of Atlanta, in my opinion, is some of the greatest TV ever. If I was told we need to make a time capsule for future generations, how do we explain the world right now? I'd be like, put the last season of Atlanta in that time capsule, ship it out to the universe, ship it out to future generations, because that thing was just chef's kiss art.
Hit us up on social media. Did you like Mr. and Mrs. Smith? And is Taylor Swift a PSYOP? We'll leave it at that. Thanks everyone for listening to this week's Techish. We appreciate all the reviews. Hit us up at Techish Pod, Twitter and Instagram.
Keep the comments coming.
Any plugs you want to give?
Check out Hustle Crew Live, because we're around.
And actually, also one last thing: subscribe to our YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So you can now watch us. If you're listening to us, you can also now watch us. It's at Techish Pod on YouTube. The link will be in the show notes. We have around a couple hundred subscribers. We want more. Please give us
Follow
a few
us
more.
on YouTube.
Follow us on YouTube. Peace.